We're going to pay off 3 credit cards with just $50. Hi you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Julia Creations. I'm a budget coach that makes budgeting easy and simple for you. If you're returning to my channel, welcome back. If you guys are new here, I like to make budget videos to help my clients learn how to budget and pay off their debt, reach their goals based off products that I have personally created myself. So hi you guys, welcome in. Today's video, we're going to be talking about what you can get away with just $50. It is becoming that time of the year where we're about to start a new year and debt is at an all-time high, of course. But I want to show you how $50 can get you ahead for paying off your debt. If you guys haven't watched any of my other videos, I highly recommend watching them. We have so many good resources and all my videos are based on your pay schedule. So make sure you guys check out the bi-weekly playlist, the weekly playlist, the semi-monthly playlist. If you're paid once a month or you have an income that fluctuates, I have a video for all of you guys, okay? So you guys are in the right hands, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, you guys. But we're going to get into the full gritty of how $50 goes a long way with budgeting while trying to build an emergency fund and paying off debt. A lot of people think you can't do both at the same time, you guys. So we're literally going to do both of them. I'm going to show you how. We're going to set up a bi-weekly budget. We're going to break it down into, we're going to do a calendar, a monthly budget, a bi-weekly budget, and then a debt payoff plan. So we're going to talk about a lot. We are going to be using the binders just so you guys can see how you're going to put the money away each week. So we will use that for, we'll use a part of cash for this to show the visual. But all of this can be done in a bank account or with cash, whatever easier for you, whatever system works. So we're gonna get straight into it and I'll talk more about it as we're doing the video. Alright you guys, so the first thing we're gonna do no matter what is set up our bill calendar for the month. You're gonna write down everything that you plan to spend for the month. This is going to be writing down all of our bills, all of our expenses, just so we can see how our month is going. Of course, we're still in the month of December, so this is going to be a December budget. But of course, all of this stuff will repeat again. So you'll just write down your expenses that you have every single month, you guys, to make it easier. So your calendar for everything you're going to spend for the month. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. Calendar really quickly and write in all. Alright you guys, now that we filled in our dates for our calendar, we're going to go ahead and write down our bills and our expenses. So on the first, we have rent, which is going to be $12.50. Then we have our first payday, which falls on the 5th, which is $12.40. And this is $12.40 bi-weekly. And remember guys, watch the full video even if it doesn't match your income, because it's still going to be resourceful to help you navigate through your budget. And then we have child care for $200 every 2 weeks. Everybody's budget is going to be different, but these videos are very good to implicate, oopsie, I don't know why I forgot the L, child care. It's going to be very easy to put into your, incorporate in your own budget. And then we have credit card number 1. We have 3 different credit cards. So you're going to write in all your credit cards. And then if you want to write your statement days too, this is just the minimum due dates. But in your personal planner, you can write down your statement dates as well. That would be very beneficial. And then we have car insurance for $106. And then we have credit card number 2 on the 20th. The $40 minimum. And I don't know why I'm writing like this today, you guys. I don't know what's going on. And then credit card number 3. We have $55. And then on the 24th, we have a phone bill for $65. All right. And here's all of our bills. Now we're going to go ahead and set up our monthly budget. Alright you guys, so now we're going to go ahead and set up our monthly budget. So we're going to write down what month it is, which is December. Our goal is to pay off credit cards / save. Alright, and we're paid bi-weekly as a source of income, which is $12.40 bi-weekly. 1240 times 2, and this is all after tax. 2480 is what we're bringing in for the month. 2480 is going to be our full income. All right, we need our income, our expenses, and our savings. So now we're going to go ahead and write down our fixed bills. Our fixed bills are going to be our expenses that are usually the same every single month, you guys. So this is everything we already written in our calendar. The only difference is we're just bringing it to the monthly estimate section. All right, so we have rent, which is going to be rent/utilities, which is $12.50. And this is due on the 1st. And then we have child care. Why do I not want to put a L? We got child care for $400 a month, which is bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. And then we have our car insurance, which is due on the 11th for $106. And then we also have our phone bill, which is due for $65 on the 24th. All right, here's all of our bills for the month. Let's go ahead and total these up. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can see the camera. I'm trying to make it where you guys can see both. All right, so our rent is $12.50. Our child care is $400. Our car insurance $106, and our phone bill is $65. So for bills, we spend a total of $18.21 for the month. Goes to our bills. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and write down our variables, the fun stuff, you guys. This is going to be our credit cards, our groceries, our gas, or any spending that we're doing. This is a really, really tight budget. So all we have is our credit cards. All of our credit card minimums for the month total to $130. Then we have groceries. We spend $220 a month. And then we have gas for $100 a month. And then we have miscellaneous just for $59 a month. All right. And those are all of our variables. And once again, this is going to be different based off your numbers and your expenses. So we're going to go ahead and total up our variables. If we take 130 plus 220 plus 100 plus 59, our variables are going to total to 509. 509 plus 1821. Our expenses for the month total to $23.30. How much do we get to put in our savings? $24.80 minus $23.30. We have exactly $150 left over. I know what you guys are thinking. Well, I thought we were only budgeting $50. We're going to use only $50 to pay off our debt, but we're going to use $100 to put in our emergency savings. So we're going to talk about just $50 for debt and still trying to build emergency savings at the same time, you guys. But we're going to break all this down in this video. Alright, you guys, now we made it to the fun part where we're going to do our bi-weekly budget so we can see exactly how much money we have to save each paycheck to pay off this debt, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is section off our paychecks. So this is our first paycheck of December, which falls on the 5th. This is going to be the payday of 12/5. And we're going to be bringing in $12.40 this paycheck. Now we're going to go ahead and color coordinate it. I think this helps so much when you're sectioning off your budget. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this. To our next payday, which falls on the 19th. So we need to cover everything from the 5th to the 19th. Okay, like just going in with a little highlighter, just section it off so that way you can see the breakdown of what's going to cover what. All right, so my rule for bi-weekly budgets, whenever we're paid bi-weekly and our rent is more or similar to our total of our paycheck, we split our rent into two. So $12.50 is our rent total. $12.50 divided by 2. Every single paycheck, we're going to put $6.25 away for our rent. So right off the top, even though our rent is already paid, we're going to put rent up for the next week or the next month. So we're going to put our rent to the side for February or for January. So our rent is going to be $6.25. We're writing down everything we're paying for this paycheck. And then childcare is also $200 every single paycheck because it's on bi-weekly schedule. All right, so we have our payday, and then we're covering childcare, our credit card number 1, and our car insurance for $106. These are all of the bills that we have due this week, so we're going to go ahead and write that in our paycheck breakdown. Okay. Car insurance, $106. And then we have our credit card number 1. Once again, credit cards go on the variable side, you guys. So we're going to put our credit card number 1 minimum, which is $35. Okay. So credit card number 1 has a $35 minimum. Now we're going to go ahead and break down our variables, you guys. So this is where we take what we plan for the month and we break it down into 2. If our groceries for the month is $220, that means every single paycheck, because we're paid bi-weekly, our groceries are going to be $110. All right. Gas is $100 per month. If we break that down between each paycheck, it's going to be $50. Miscellaneous is $59. So this week we're just going to do $29. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add up our expenses for this paycheck. All right. This is the fun part. Okay. I love this so much. It's like my favorite part for setting up your paychecks. You're probably like, Julia. But yeah, we'll get into it. Okay, you guys. So let's go ahead and add it up. So for this paycheck, we brought in $12.40. How much of this is going towards bills? $6.25 plus $200 plus $106. $9.31 is what's going to go towards bills. For our variables, we brought in, or we're going to be paying $35 for our credit card, $110 for groceries, $50 for gas, and $29 for miscellaneous, which brings us to $224. All right, $224 plus $9.31. Our total of expenses for this paycheck is going to be $11.55. Okay, now we're going to take $12.40, which is our income that we brought in this paycheck, and minus it from our expenses. $12.40 was the full income that came in. $11.55 went out. $85 goes into our savings this paycheck. And that's how easy it is to set up a paycheck breakdown using our planner, okay? And this was our first week, our first paycheck, which was the 5th. And that's everything we covered. This is the week we don't get paid, so we put zeros for this week. Okay, perfect. And that is our first paycheck breakdown of the month, you guys. And now what you're thinking, well, what are we going to do with this $85? We're going to put this $85 to the side right now because we're going to use this at the end of the month to pay off our debt. Okay, we're going to use this money at the end of the month to pay off our debt, and we'll talk about this in a second with our envelopes too. But let's do our second paycheck so we can do our full paychecks for the month and then do our debt. All right, you guys, actually I decided I'm going to show the example per paycheck so you can see where you would place this, so that way it's just not sitting until we finish the full budget. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how we're going to break this down per paycheck, and then we'll talk about our debt payoff plan so you can see where the money went throughout the month. Okay, So remember, our goal is to put $50 towards our credit cards. We want to use $50 to pay off debt, but we also want to build our emergency fund. Remember how I said we have $150 left for the month? So we want to use 100 of that to go to our emergency fund and 50 of that to go towards our debt. At the end of this paycheck, we'll be getting $85 out of this 150 that we quoted for the month. With this $85, we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to put this in our binder for our emergency, because remember, our goal is to have $100, save $100 per month for emergencies and put $50 towards debt every single month. So in this little emergency binder, we're going to put $100, okay? And I'm going to show you what we're going to do for our next paycheck. The next paycheck, we're going to finish off the emergency fund, and then we're going to put the $50 towards the debt. All right, you guys, now that we completed that, we can go ahead and proceed to our next paycheck of the month. Our next paycheck of the month falls on the 19th. So it's going to be the payday of the 19th. So in our biweekly budget section here, we're going to go ahead and put payday of 12/19, and then you're going to write down what your income is, which is going to be $12.40 again, because this is bi-weekly. And then we're going to write down what we're going to cover for this paycheck. Go in with our little highlighter and just highlight everything again that we're covering. And this has to cover us all the way into our next payday that falls into January. So we're going to take our highlighter so you can see it sectioned off. Okay, and here's everything we're covering in this time frame. Okay. And remember, every single paycheck, we already put up half of the rent, and this is going to be our rent for January, taken care of between each paycheck. And then childcare is also bi-weekly for $200. And then if I'm not mistaken, this week we have our phone bill for $65, and then we also have our credit cards this week too, for $40 and $55. Credit card number 355. Okay, perfect, you guys. So now we wrote down our bills that we have and our credit cards. So the last thing that we are going to do is write down our variable expenses for this paycheck, and it's going to be all the stuff that repeats again. So the stuff that we do every 2 weeks for our variables, we're going to go ahead and repeat that again in our budget cycle, okay? So everything that we have that's going to repeat is going to be our groceries, which is $110 each week, our gas, which is $50, and then miscellaneous, because it's $59 for the month, we're going to go ahead and finish that off with the $30. Okay, now those are all of our expenses for this paycheck. Alright, you guys, now let's go ahead and add up our last paycheck. For bills, we spent $625 plus $200 plus $65. We spent the total of $890 on our fixed bills for this paycheck. Now let's go ahead and add up our variables. We have 40 plus 55 plus 110 plus 50 plus 30. We spent the total of $285 this paycheck for variables. All right, now if we take 285 plus 890, that brings our expenses for this paycheck to $1175. If we take 1240, which is our income for this paycheck, minus it from 1175, we get $65 left over to go in our savings. Now let's go ahead and break this down for what we're going to put in our envelope. Alright, you guys, as we noted, we'll have $65 left at the end of this paycheck. The first paycheck we had $85. The last paycheck we had $65, which gives us a total of $150 left over for the month, like we quoted on our monthly budget. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the $15 in our emergency fund, which will now bring our emergency fund to $100 that we quoted to save. And then now we're going to take this $50 and we're going to put the $50 towards our credit card for the month. All right. Now what you guys are thinking, we have 3 different credit cards. What credit card are we going to put this $50 towards and work on paying off? Well, let's talk about it. Let's create our debt payoff plan. Okay. That way our emergency fund is building while we're paying off debt. All right, you guys, so now we're going to go to the section of our debt payoff plan. Our debt payoff plan section, we have a debt tracker in here. But before we use our debt tracker, we're going to write down our list of our debt, so we know what we have for debt for the month. Or for all our debt in total. We're going to go ahead and write down all of our debt. So you're going to put everything, whether it's credit cards, loans. In this example, we only have 3 credit cards, so we're going to write down those. And we're going to take the $50 we have left over to pay it off. Alright, you guys, so we have 3 credit cards. We're going to write down the creditor, the balance, and then the minimum payments. For this example, I'm only going to write down credit card number 1, credit card number 2, and credit card number 3. And we're going to write down the balances, the minimum payments, and if you want to write the interest rates, you can write down the interest rates as well. We're going to just snowball this debt due to the fact of our cash surplus being a little smaller, so the interest rates aren't going to matter too much, but it's still good to document those so you have those. So we have a $300 balance with a $35 minimum, a $500 balance with a $40 minimum, and then we have a $750 balance with a $55 minimum. All right, so here is all of our debt that we're working with. So we're gonna go ahead and just squiggle that. And this is our debt payoff because these are the debt we have, okay? This is what we're starting with so far, you guys. So now what we're going to do at the end of each month, in our little envelope, we put $50 towards credit cards at the end of each month. This is what we have. I know what you guys are thinking, shouldn't we put 100 because we're trying to pay off the credit cards first? Some of you guys need to prioritize emergency fund over your debt. I know the interest rates can be crazy, but let's just say the interest rates aren't too terrible on these credit cards and we have a little bit wiggle room to pay these off. We're going to do that. Some of you guys only have just $50 left at the end of the month, so you're not even focusing on saving, but your main goal is to pay off debt. So that's why I want to make sure we talk about that in this video. So let's just say you're starting with $50. If we're starting with $50 for the end of December, because this is how much we had left over, we have $50 left over. We're going to focus on paying off credit card number 1. So credit card number 1 is our main focus. And we're still paying a $35 minimum on there. So if we take $300 and we divide it by $50, it'll take 6 months to pay off that credit card. Now keep in mind, we're still paying a $35 minimum. So 35 plus 50 is $85. If we take $300 and divide it by 85, it'll roughly take 3.5 months. I only round up just in case to cover interest, you guys. If you're just paying the minimum, usually interest eats the minimum up. So that's why we're rounding up. But at the end of the day, we're just going to put it as 6 months worst case scenario. If you're only able to put additional $50 each month, we're looking at that time frame to pay it off, okay? Not including the minimum. And remember that the minimum is already included in the budget. So December, January, February, March. Oh, hopefully you guys can see. Sorry. I didn't know that the camera didn't focus, you guys. Okay, is that better? So we have January, February, March, April, 2, 4, May, and June. And guys, the reality of it is this is the reality for some people when it comes to paying off their debt. So yeah, 6 months may seem like a long time, but 6 months will go by. If you're working on paying off debt and all we have is just $50, 2, 4, 6, oopsie. This is what we're working with. So we're gonna go ahead and take 50 and times it by 6, what does that give us? Exactly $300. $300. We pay off the credit card and it zeroes out. Okay? Now once you pay off credit card number 1 for the month, or for the period anyway, you won't have to pay the minimum anymore. Okay? So remember, we've been paying the $35 minimum, but we've been using that $35 minimum as the interest. Once again, it may not take this long because you're still paying a $35 minimum, but I'm using it as the interest barrier. Okay? So this minimum covers the interest that accumulates. Once again, it really depends on how much it is. That's how we made $50 pay off our first credit card. Once we pay off this first credit card, guess what? That minimum gets removed from our budget. So what we would do now is we'll have $35 that will go back into this, now bringing our cash surplus to $85, right? 50 plus 35. Starting June, our new cash surplus is going to be 85. Okay, and I also want you guys to keep in mind, every single month, according to our budget too, we were putting $100 in our savings tracking jar. So not only did we pay off $300 worth of credit card debt, we also saved $600 for the span of the last few months, because the money we had left over, we were putting $100 each month in our savings. And our goal is to get $1,000 in our emergency fund. All right, you guys, so in our debt tracker page, we're going to go ahead and write down our credit card usage for this first credit card. So we're going to write down and document our credit cards in here. So we were working on credit card number 1. This is a credit card. The starting balance that we were working with was $300. Our credit limit, let's just say the credit limit, it was maxed out. And then all this other stuff, we don't need to worry about it. And then the minimum payment we were paying on that credit card every single month was $35. This was monthly. And our goal is to pay this off by May. Okay. Once again, we only have $50 left over. For the next 6 months, we're going to go ahead and put additional $50 on the balance. So let's go ahead and fill out our debt tracker. It's the same thing we did here, but it just actually has a template for it. So we're going to go ahead and write it down in here, what we pay each month for the next 6 months. So at the end of December, 12/31st, we're going to put $50, which now brings the balance down to $250, right? 300 minus 50. I act like I can't do math right now, but $250. All right, the end of January, we're going to also put $50, which is now going to bring the balance down to $200. The end of February, which I think is the 28th, we're going to bring $50 down, which is going to bring this down to $150. The end of March, we're going to put $50, which is now going to bring the balance down to $100. The end of April, we're going to put $50, which is going to bring the balance down to $50. And then in May 31st, we're going to put the rest of the $50, and it is paid off. All right. $300 balance paid off by May, which is our goal. Okay, and that's just putting $50 to a $300 balance with only having $50 left. Okay, and that is our first credit card. So you guys, that's not our full debt payoff plan, but I want to show you how you can at least start, how you would navigate to set up your budget. So everything we did, you guys, for this budget was we set up our budget for the month. Is what we did here. We set up our calendar. We wrote down our budget for the month. Here's our full calendar of the month of December. Then we wrote down our monthly budget, how much income is coming in versus going out, and going in our savings is what we also documented. Then we did our paycheck breakdown, which shows how much we're saving each paycheck. $85 out of our first paycheck will go towards our savings, and then our second paycheck has a total of $65. We'll put $15 into that 85 and make our $100 for our savings each month, and we'll use the rest of the $50 to pay off debt, which, as you can see here, here's our debt payoff plan. Here's how much money we're putting in our savings, and then here's how much is going towards that debt with just $50 left over. And it's literally that simple. That's how easy it is. Alright, you guys, thank you again for watching. I hope that this video was helpful, and all it takes is $50 to get your feet in the door. So you guys, don't feel so overwhelmed thinking that you need a whole bunch of money to start paying off your debt. It's still going to be complicated. It's not an easy thing. You're still paying the minimums on all of your debt, but you're just putting $50 towards one debt more than the other. It is still a process, you guys. Debt isn't an overnight thing, but you will get through it. So make sure you guys keep going and start with just $50. If that's all you have, even if you have to start with $25, start with it, guys, and get going. Still pay your minimum, and then you're going to put extra money on top of one credit card at a time. And if you guys need more help with budgeting, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments if there's any other videos that you would like to see, as well as check out our credit card playlist, as well as our budget playlist. So there's so many videos to get you started with your financial journey. And then if you need a budget planner, of course, the ones we are using are available on my website at juliacreations.com. And yeah, I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye, my loves.